Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. The sun is shining down on me here in Surrey. I hope it's shining down where you are today. I'm delighted to be joined by my good friend Isabel Munoz, who is the founder and CEO of NL42, and they are the organizers of the Paperless Lab Academy, which is actually celebrating its 10th edition this April on the 18th and 19th. And it will be held at the Grand Hotel Dino by Lake Maggiore in Italy, which is near Milan. And so I thought I'd catch up with Isabel and find out a bit more about this year's edition and actually what makes it different to the many other events which are covering digital transformation as well. So Isabel, first of all, good morning. How are you?
Thank you, Richard. Very well, thank you.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you. And it's been a long time actually since I've been to Paperless Lab. So it'd be great to get a catch up on what's been happening with the event. So for people who are not familiar with Paperless Lab Academy and NL42, could you give me a quick overview of Paperless Academy, the history and why you launched it in the first place?
Yes, sure. NL42 is a consulting company that we built 10 years ago. So we are coming from a director position in American companies. I'm myself a molecular biologist working DNA sequencing. My partner is coming from the LIMS industry, sales director, etc. And 10 years ago, we decided to enter into the consulting world for supporting our customers into their paperless projects. While doing so, we realized that 10 years ago, there were a need of setting up the platform for helping them to find more information, more discussions around everything around digital data management. And that was 10 years ago. And we're still ongoing with the initiative because there is a lot to say. There is a lot ongoing. Digital transformation is everywhere in the laboratories, in pharmaceutical industry, and there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to discuss. The level of maturity in digital transformation in the companies are at different levels. Of course, the biggest top 10 are very well advanced. They have a lot to share within the industry. Others are just starting and really struggling to understand where to start with.
Right, well, that's good. Well, given that the event has been running 10 years, and obviously digital transformation now has been a bit of a buzzword for the last 2-3 years since the pandemic, perhaps you are an ideally placed actually to see how things have changed over the last 10 years. So how, from your perspective as an organizer of an event around that area, has digital transformation and the discussion changed from when you first started to now?
There have been important changes like the cloud, the acceptance of the cloud. On the very first edition, we were challenging the paradigm of the industry to accept the use of cloud. Now it's just become a commodity.
Right.
For instance, there have been more concepts getting more matured, like the FAIR principles, a lot about semantics, a lot about data master plan, a lot of new vendors also, providing more modern, innovative solution, SaaS solution, solutions also very dedicated to a precise problem. So there have been a lot of changes, but 10 years or so is not enough. There are still a lot that has not changed or has not evolved. And this year edition is going to be really a mix of challenging, as I was saying before, challenging the paradigm, challenging the actual situation, change management, people, helping people to adapt, to accept digital transformation is still a huge challenge. People is a key factor for digital transformation success. Technologies, they have evolved. There are more and more new stuff, very nice. Looking, user experience is also now in the lab informatics something important. We all know about software that are really difficult to use. So there are a lot to say about what has happened in the last 10 years and a lot to say about for new companies willing to get into it, there's still a lot to improve.
Right. So obviously, you and I haven't really chatted properly since the pandemic, but obviously the pandemic forced a lot more remote working, and I thought, I would think a lot of acceleration around digital transformation within big organizations. Obviously, as an organizer, you had to go virtual as well, I know, for your events rather than running them live. But did you have you seen from the feedback from your delegates and vendors who are there, a change in mindset in terms of how they perceive digital transformation? Because that is a good point you said about the cloud, for example, because the cloud, I know, because it's such a heavily regulated industry in terms of pharma, people are very, very nervous about using the cloud because of the whole regulation aspect of it. And now, as you said, it's become commonplace and a lot more people are more comfortable using the cloud. But do you think how do you think the pandemic has impacted the whole acceptance of digital transformation? Because, like, I know you said it's still a long way to go, but has it accelerated it in any way?
Well, what I've seen during the pandemic is that suddenly, in a way, in most of the companies, the CIO became key elements in the companies. The CFO realized they were need to maybe consider this digital project a bit more seriously, if you wish. So I've seen really within the company, they say a bigger focus onto that. So the key decision makers suddenly realized there was a need to improve. Then, of course, there are a lot of reports from a lot of big consulting firms, and you still see that for some companies, there's been strong acceleration. So whoever was mature enough and had the project prepared, they had this push. And yes, they move strongly. Others are kind of waking up and are really looking for more information. So there's a kind of what we were 10 years ago, visitors looking for information. Basically, they are trying to understand what is in the market available, what is to be done, and where to start. That's a lot. That's a lot going on. And again, there are always different levels of companies.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Paperless Lab Academy now more specifically. Now, as you mentioned, you've been going for 10 years. Now, over that period, there are a lot of events now in this space, and you're laughing because there's so many. You can say lab of the future, smart labs, whatever. You can mix anything with the word digital lab and something in different orders and they'll be out there. So what makes your event different to those out there now?
Well, yes, you're right. The market has become more and more competitive. Big companies are really now seeing the opportunity to go with that type of congresses. In a way, in the end, we have also to specify we're not event organizer experts. So as I said before, we are coming from the domain. We're experts. We have a strong networking. So within the potential of speakers, the potential visitors, the potential sponsors, what really makes it unique, if you wish, and this is the feedback from the sponsors and from the visitor themselves.
Sure.
Is the mix of how is composed the agenda. So there is a plenary session with really rich content presentation, and I'm working hard to avoid any commercial stuff. But there is a space. There is a space for the sponsor running their own interactive workshops. And the plenary is going back and forth so the agenda is going back and forth from the plenary to workshops, which are running in parallel, maximum of 3. This year, we have 12 workshops. So the feedback from the visitors is that in 2 days, they have the opportunity to have a great understanding of what's happening in the industry. They are interacting directly with the workshop sponsors, leaders. In the exhibition hall also, we have more than that. So there are more than 20 exhibitors. And they have, from the plenary session, they have a lot of food for thoughts. They are getting very pragmatic presentation of people sharing their strategies, their actual situation, where they are with their project. But we're also combining always with, let's get to the next level. Let's speak about what might come. So this is the feedback we're receiving. The format is kind of unique.
Fantastic. All right. Now, the other thing I was going to ask you was that obviously you talked about the format. So this year, what are the tracks and have you had anything new? So what topics are you covering? I mean, I could throw out some names, but I want you to tell me what are some of the core topics you'll be covering this year.
So as always, I'm looking for an agenda with this combination, as I was saying before, very pragmatic presentations. So people coming in, like people from Beringer, from SGS, they will be sharing this time global LIMS implementation. Now, one thing is to implement a LIMS. Another thing is to make it global and to look towards harmonization, standardization. It's the next level, okay? So they will kind of share this information. There are more coming in. Lonza is speaking about automation of bioburden tests.
Right.
Which is, and I was really looking from Lonza to come over. It took me 2 years to convince them and to come. Now they are ready and they're really eager to share. So that's the pragmatic part, if you wish. As I was saying before, also, I'm always looking for next. And this time we are bringing artificial intelligence topics. So a real use case today of artificial intelligence in GMP environment. And then looking forward of next, I realized cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is nowhere to escape. It has to be also a topic for whoever is selecting software today for their quality and laboratory processes. The quick question will be, in your risk management, is it the moment now to also add cybersecurity? And this is really a glimpse of the topics we are covering. In a way, I'm always looking for covering the whole, that digital data management. And the list of topics is long, but again, every year I'm looking for combining pragmatic and looking for the future. And then on top of that, there are those 12 workshops that are coming from the sponsor, where they are bringing their own topics. Today, this year, we will have Internet of Lab Things. We will have, again, more sharing experience or knowledge about successful implementation. A lot to be discussed about change management, as I was saying before. So, and then on top of that, networking on a nice location, as you were saying, the Lake Maggiore, the restaurant, very professional hotel, is just the full combination of it.
Fantastic. All right. Now, are you able to say who some of the keynote speakers are this year?
Yes. So we have Tony Manzano from Aizon speaking about the artificial intelligence.
I've seen him present. He's very good, actually.
Yeah, he is excellent. I love him. I really love him. He's a good friend. He's a good teacher. Also, he's really able to bring everyone, irrespectively of their background, to understand what he's speaking about, artificial intelligence, models, data, algorithms. In a GMP environment, it's a nice story to tell. As I was saying before, from Beringer, Sergio Nasi, Alessio Tremolada from SGS, they are the key guys, head of global implementation, which are sharing that this year. More people are definitely coming from more companies. And yeah, so really looking forward to have our visitors. I see them really registering with desire to come and join the discussions.
And one thing you haven't said, but I know, so we should throw out there, is that the attendance is actually free for delegates, is it not?
It is. Till now, yes, this is one thing also we wanted to make it's an academy in a way. Okay, it's a conference now, really sponsored, strongly sponsored by the vendors. We wanted to make free because we believe it is free, but it is free for potential buyers. It is free for whoever is coming from a company with this running laboratory on quality processes.
Right, fantastic. Okay, so we've talked about the speakers, we've talked about the tracks. You mentioned networking though, so and the lake and the restaurant and the workshop. So are there any other things that you're doing at the event apart from those to sort of encourage people to sort of network and work together?
A nice cocktail. A nice cocktail reception. From the logistic point of view, we make it easy. As you say before, the event looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, but in the end, it's very close to Ticino, to the place of Switzerland. There is 5 minutes from the Congress. There is an intentional train station. From the Malpensa airport, we are organizing. The organization is facilitating shuttle buses, free shuttle buses. So it's really easy to come in and to really enjoy the discussion, enjoy the place. Everyone who is coming is just enjoying it.
Yeah, well, it is a lovely venue, and I have to say the shuttle service is excellent. I mean, I haven't been for quite a while, I have to say, pre-COVID, but when I did go, I do remember it was a very efficiently run shuttle service from the airport to the hotel. The hotel's lovely as well. Right, so final question for you then, and this is your last opportunity, I suppose, to say, why should people sign up for Paperless Lab Academy? And actually, before we do that, one thing you haven't mentioned actually, Isabel, so that I'll remind you, is the Paperless Lab Academy is not just Europe, is it? You have expanded the brand wider afield. So before we talk about why people should come to the European event, what other events are you doing and have you created out of this?
You're correct, and thank you for bringing the topic. Just before the pandemic, we were so happy about how the Paperless Lab Academy was going on in Europe. We had some vendors coming from India, from the States, visitors also landing in from India, from the States, from Canada, that they started to ask us to consider moving over there. And as you see, they were saying us that, yeah, this format is kind of unique and not present, neither in India, neither in the States. So before pandemic, we were kind of preparing ourselves. We were ready for the India. So we started virtual in India. And then this year, we made our 3rd edition. This time it was live in India. It went amazingly well. So 2023 is our very launch 3 editions, one in Europe in April. In October, we'll go again to India, and then will be our 1st edition in the States in November.
Right, fantastic. We'll put the details and the links to those above the video when this goes live. All right, and actually, before I ask you about one last word to talk about it, I know you obviously had virtual events before. Is there any virtual element to the event this year, or is it available on demand to people who attend at all?
No, those editions are live, and that's yeah. The only virtual thing, let's say, that we're organizing are webinars, and we're organizing webinars along the year. But the editions, the conferences are live. So let's forget COVID, let's forget pandemic. Let's go back to human relationship, face-to-face, and interactive discussions.
Okay, fine. So finally, as I said about 5 minutes ago, but then I thought of 2 more questions to ask you. Why should people come to Paperless Lab Academy in April?
Basically, for all what I was saying before, because of the content, of the quality, of the quantity of information that is shared during 2 days, the opportunity to really get a lot of food for thought back home, back to your company, to the possibility to identify great partners from a consulting point of view, or from a vendors of software point of view. But most of all, I think after this pandemic situation, to come back to interactions, discussions, networking, and to discover, to enjoy the discussions, to learn from others, and to see what can be done maybe in the next future.
Fantastic. All right, Isabel, look, happy build up and happy planning everything for April. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in person there as well myself. So
More than welcome.
there you go, viewers. If you'd like to know more about Paperless Lab Academy, not just the European edition, but obviously if you're interested in the US one or the Indian edition, then please contact Isabel directly. She's available on LinkedIn, or you can leave a comment below the video. And if you'd like to know more about the event in general or to sign up, then the link will be above the video. You can find out more there for the agenda and various other things as well. So Isabel, good luck with everything. I look forward to seeing you in April, all being well. And viewers, thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.